Hello and welcome to another Jarvis in the TARDIS video. Doctor Who has many classic villains: Daleks, Sontarans, Silurians, Zygons, Sea Devils, and many more. However, without a doubt my favourite is the second most famous of them all, the Cybermen. The Cybermen have a long history in the show and have gone through many transformations in the show's near 60-year history. I want to discuss why I think the Cybermen are such a compelling villain and to this day have a lot of relevance to our society and what we could become. We first must start with how the Cybermen came to being. During the first few years of Doctor Who, the Daleks, created by Terry Nation, were an incredible success, and the whole nation took them to heart. Dalek mania ensued, and quickly Terry Nation wanted to take the Daleks into new ventures. This meant the Doctor Who production team had to find new villains for the Doctor to battle that would be as compelling as the Daleks. Many were tried, but the only villain that ended up achieving a similar level of success as the Daleks ended up being the Cybermen. Innes Lloyd, the then producer of Doctor Who, brought in an unofficial scientific advisor to the show in the mid-1960s in order to add a more scientific edge. Kit Pedler was a medical scientist and writer and ended up contributing to 6 stories of Doctor Who. The core idea of the Cybermen arose from many scientific advancements of the 1960s. Organ transplants were seeing huge breakthroughs, allowing us to preserve a life with the ability to donate healthy organs to suffering patients, as well as artificial limbs becoming far more common and advanced. Along with these advancements came concerns of a certain loss of humanity, or playing God and interfering with nature itself. This would provide the basis for the metal giants. The Cybermen act as a grim future of what mankind could become. The need to replace limbs with plastic and metal for survival, and the removal of emotions via an emotional inhibitor in order to not go insane as they realise what they have become. These ideas are explored over the 50+ years worth of stories that the Cybermen appear in, some definitely more effective than others, but I would argue that across those years they have more moments that are iconic than maybe even the Daleks. Their introduction was in The 10th Planet in 1966, William Hartnell's last story as the First Doctor. In this we see our first glimpse of the Cybermen, a far detached look than some of their later iterations. Cloth surgical masks draped over their faces with piping flowing from their metal chest units. Their voices now a staccato monotone completely detached from a human. The only true reminder of their original humanity being their bare human hands. We also see the introduction of their home planet Mondas, lost twin planet of Earth that is essentially flipped upside down. Due to the harsher conditions of this planet, the humans have had to adapt, leading to the creation of the Cybermen in an effort to survive.
Don't you care?
Care? No, why should I care?
Because they're people and they're going to die.
I do not understand you. There are people dying all over your world, yet you do not care about them.
The Cybermen were a huge success with the audience, and so, in Patrick Troughton's tenure as the Second Doctor, the Cybermen return a colossal 4 times in just 3 years. This was mainly due to Terry Nation planning to launch a US Dalek television series, so the Doctor needed an A-list foe to battle after the last 60s Dalek story, The Evil of the Daleks. First came their attack on the moon base. The Cybermen now sport a more familiar metallic look. The metal head retains the handlebar to the cranium, which would become an iconic motif of every subsequent Cyberman design. The design is overly sleeker, with the removal of the large lamps, smaller chest unit, and piping down both the arms and legs, forming an almost exoskeleton to the metal giants. This story would also see the Cybermen employ the use of a virus in order to subdue members of the moonbase in order to conquer the complex. but shows that they would rather not totally destroy humans so that they are still suitable for conversion, as ultimately, you will be like us. Next came the Tomb of the Cybermen, this time on the planet Telos, a world colonised by the Cybermen when Mondas was destroyed. The design of the Cybermen mostly stays intact, but with a new addition in the form of the Cyber Controller, which would be a recurring lead figure in future stories. Without a chest unit or the familiar handlebar arrangement, he instead sports a huge brain used for coordinating the entire cyber colony on Telos. He provides a necessary structure to the Cybermen. However, I must admit, while the large brain adorned by the Cyber Controller does make for some rather striking imagery, it cannot be denied it does look a little phallic. But that is classic Doctor Who for you. The enormous 40-foot set that was built for the Cybermen's tomb led to one of the all-time iconic moments of all Doctor Who, the Cybermen awakening from their cryogenic slumber. Their next appearance was in The Wheel in Space. Their design sees some subtle changes that would become motifs in later Cybermen. The piping is reduced on both the arms and legs. Their fingers now come to strange conical ends, and now they sport a teardrop indentation on both their eyes and mouth. The teardrops would return in modern Doctor Who, so were obviously a favourite of later showrunners. In this story, we see the Cybermen use humans as agents, forced to do their bidding in order to secure the invasion, as well as the use of Cybermats, metallic worm-like creatures used for sabotage in advance of the Cybermen assault, which were first featured in the previous story, Tomb of the Cybermen. These would be recurring elements in future stories and reinforces the Cybermen's more logical approach to conquest. And then finally, The Invasion, an 8-part epic where the Cybermen finally invade the Earth proper, with a complete new design with the larger square head, the return of a more pronounced exoskeleton, and the first Cybermen with separate blasters from their body, which would be featured prominently in 80s designs. The Invasion, while long, is one of my all-time favourite stories, and the scene of them bursting from the sewers as they put all of London into a deep coma via a hypnotic signal is truly great stuff. Seeing them march in front of St Paul's Cathedral and along London streets is one of my all-time favourite moments in Doctor Who.
What is it? What's happened?
It's the Cybermen. We've just seen hundreds of them coming out of the sewers.
The Cybermen only have one appearance in the 1970s. This was due to the production team feeling that they had been used perhaps a bit too much and required a rest. Their return in the rather underwhelming Revenge of the Cybermen doesn't quite live up to previous encounters. Still a decent story, but the Cybermen are not exactly treated quite as the threat they once were, with even Tom Baker's Doctor claiming,
You've no home planet, no influence, nothing. You're just a pathetic bunch of tin soldiers skulking about the galaxy in an ancient spaceship.
The design is slightly different. They now have a blaster adorned in the centre of their cranium, and their joints have accordion-like ribbing. This is also the first appearance of a cyber leader, signalled by the black handlebar arrangement, which would return with every subsequent appearance. It also introduced both the planet Voga, a planet made near entirely out of gold, as well as the Cybermen's weakness to that very metal, which went from it hampering them in this story to rather comical levels in later 80s adventures, but we'll get to that later. It would be 7 years before the Cybermen would make their return in 1982. Cleverly, they do not show up in their return story until the very end of Part 1, which led to one of the greatest cliffhangers in the series' history.
That's them! I recognise that sound.
Those are the things that attacked you.
Yes.
Do you know why?
No. There isn't a reason.
Whoever's controlling the androids thinks there is.
Destroy them! Destroy them at once!
In Earthshock, we once again see a top-to-bottom new design. The piping now flows beneath the metallic suits as well as outside. The chest plate is now connected to the shoulders, giving them a more warrior-esque look. And their chins are now visible through a plastic guard, which I think is a brilliant piece of design. As they speak in their harsh metallic voices, you are reminded that beneath the metal and plastic lies one of us. The producer of Doctor Who at the time, John Nathan Turner, deliberately turned down a Radio Times front cover in order to keep the Cybermen a secret. The title Earthshock for this story was also used for this very reason. Another great moment in the story is the cyber leader demonstrating the potential weakness of emotions.
Thing caught me.
Where's Nissa?
She's safe. She's in the
Who
TARDIS.
is this woman?
An Earthling, no one of consequence.
It's a lot.
Be quiet.
She's one of your crew.
In a manner of speaking.
I see the Time Lords have emotional feelings.
Of sorts.
Surely a great weakness in one so powerful.
Emotions have their uses.
They restrict and curtail the intellect and logic of the mind.
They also enhance life. When did you last have the pleasure of smelling a flower, watching a sunset, eating a well-prepared meal?
These things are irrelevant.
For some people, small, beautiful events is what life is all about.
You have affection for this woman,
She's a friend.
and you do not consider friendship a weakness.
I do not.
Kill her.
No!
Such a reaction is not a disadvantage.
No.
You are mistaken. I now have control over you, Doctor. All I need do is threaten the woman's death for you to obey me.
In 1985, they return in Attack of the Cybermen, a rather convoluted sequel to Tomb of the Cybermen, which is slightly bizarre as nobody in 1985 would have seen that story for nearly 20 years. Their design remains similar to that of Earthshock, however, we do see the return of the Cyber Controller. Once again, the handlebar arrangement is removed, with the enlarged cranium returning. While not the best Cybermen story, we do see their brutality on display in their quest for survival.
You have wasted both our time and energy. I know that you plan to steal or destroy my time vessel. You will tell me how it is to be done.
We also see Lytton, one of the main characters in the story, in the middle of the conversion process into a Cyberman, which is a rather gruesome display. Their final appearance of the classic era is in Silver Nemesis in 1988, which was to celebrate the 25th year of Doctor Who, and as that would be a Silver Jubilee in royal terms, the production team felt it fitting to bring back the Silver Nemesis in the form of the Cybermen. They now sport a chrome shiny look, and their blasters also get a slight redesign. It unfortunately is not the best story, however we do get to see the Cybermen kill neo-Nazis, so every cloud does have a silver lining. This is also the story which takes their weakness to gold to a new level. Bullets can't stop Cybermen, but a 16th century arrow dipped in gold can.
A hit. A very palpable hit.
The classic era would come to an end in 1989, but the Cybermen remained one of the most popular monsters in Doctor Who's history, which guaranteed their return when Doctor Who came back to our screens in 2005. But more on that next time. As always, thank you for watching.